I suppose my regular fans, hi Matt, are wondering where I've been for the past 5 months, and how I got this snazzy orange clearance reflect armor. Well, back when I was stabbed by a wooden sword, I panicked and entangled myself quantum leap with Alpha Complex. Happy, hygienic, RFID, Alpha Complex. And I bet you're all wondering how I managed to do that. Well, it's all thanks to a little game called Metafiction.
Godzilla was hopping around Tokyo City like a big playground.
Perhaps the most striking feature of Metafiction is its size. This is the entire game. Of course, a small size does have its advantages. It's quite easy to memorize the rules, and of course, very easy to look them up. Something not all games can boast. The world of Metafiction is our world, with a few basic conceits. The many worlds theory is accurate, and metaphysical possibility is not bounded by physical possibility, which means other worlds can have their own physical laws completely independent and completely different from our own. Furthermore, since there's an infinite number of worlds and an almost infinite number of different possibilities, every single possibility exists in one of these worlds, which means anytime that anyone creates a fictional world, they are in fact describing a world that already exists. Furthermore, people imagining a fictional world are in fact acting as observers on that world, which creates a quantum entanglement between that world and the world of the imaginer. This means that when a work of fiction becomes popular and well known enough that enough people imagine it, they bring the imagined world closer to their own. Certain special people known as bridges, and very special people known as poles, are able to exploit this closeness to either tunnel into these fictional realities or to superimpose these fictional realities over their own. That's right. They used quantum physics to excuse Skullmaster invading Cleveland, rather than a magic ticket.
It's a passport to another world.
Or a creepy librarian.
You're in need of a fantasy.
Which means, GMs, you'd better be prepared to do a whole lot of hand-waving to get rid of the real science people want to bring to the table. Characters' abilities are determined by coincidences, phrases that relate them to a fictional character. Things like, as curious as Randolph Carter from the Dream Cycle, or as beautiful as the Maid of Poyula from the Kalevala. These are player-defined, and players, being bridges, need to come up with 8 to 10 of them in a typical game. This can be quite a lot. The game does, however, encourage you to pick multiples from the same fictional reality. If you have 4 or more from the same pieces of fiction, you'll be able to superimpose that reality without hurting yourself. 6 or more, and you can tunnel to that fictional world without hurting yourself. The bigger problem, though, isn't the number so much as making sure that everybody has the same frames of reference for these coincidences to make any kind of sense.
I am tall as Kay from the Mabinogion, as strong as Grendel from Beowulf, as mad as Hamlet from Hamlet, as crude as Celia from the ladies' dressing room, and as persistent as Wile E. Coyote from the Roadrunner cartoons. Well, I, on the other hand, am as knowledgeable as the first Doctor from Doctor Who, as manipulative as the second Doctor from Doctor Who, as charismatic as the third Doctor from Doctor Who, as unpredictable as the fourth Doctor from Doctor Who, as caring as the fifth Doctor from Doctor Who, as arrogant as the sixth Doctor from Doctor Who, as calculating as the seventh Doctor from Doctor Who, as energetic as the eighth Doctor from Doctor Who, as scarred as the ninth Doctor from Doctor Who, as troubled as the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who, as hopeful as the 11th Doctor from Doctor Who, and as timid as Fluttershy from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
I'm going to declare a delay of game due to research. Like the rest of the rules, the resolution system is simple. When the player character attempts an action worthy of a roll, the player may wager any number of relevant coincidences, then roll 1d6 and add the number of coincidences wagered. This is compared to a roll by the GM, where the GM uses story points instead of coincidences. The winning side succeeds, and the losing side If it's the player, strange coincidences, which is the equivalent to being hurt, or if it's the GM's side, loses story points. To complicate things a bit, there's entanglement. Player characters gain a point of entanglement whenever they superimpose one reality over another, or whenever they tunnel to another reality. So, basically whenever they use their powers. And the only way to get rid of entanglement is for the GM to activate it and force the player character to act in accordance with their coincidences.
You go on a murderous rampage, strangling to death the nearest victim. But that can't be right. I mean, all my coincidences are based off of Winnie the Pooh characters. That doesn't seem like anything they would do. You have a point. Go stick your head in a beehive. What? Okay.
And speaking of sadism, the game has a few other complications. Whenever you tunnel to or from Earth, something or someone from the fictional reality slips through. The only way to get rid of a superimposition you make on Earth is to superimpose Earth's reality over it again, which means an extra point of entanglement. And of course, when you superimpose things, you don't really bring something from the other reality into ours so much as change our reality. Which means that you might be able to change your own shoes into Perseus's flying sandals, but there's a fairly good chance someone nearby is going to turn into a Gorgon.
Whoever heard of something as silly as turning someone to stone?
Unsurprisingly, as a two-page game, Metafiction's rules and mechanics are going to be a bit too sparse and light for some people. But if you like a rules-light game, or the premise sounds interesting, or you just want a new, cheap game, you can download Metafiction for only $1 from sites like DriveThruRPG.com. While solid, Metafiction suffers from, as I see it, two main and interrelated problems. The first is that it takes itself too seriously. This is a game where you could quite easily have a plot about three Anthony Stewart Head fans trying to settle an argument by bringing Giles, Nathan Wallace, and King Uther into the same world to duke it out. And yet, the tone is completely straight, completely serious, and uses a almost plausible quantum mechanics explanation. I, for one, know that I would not be able to play this game without putting significantly more tongue into cheek. The related problem? Well, I hate to say this, but the game's just not long enough. 2 pages can be plenty for a lighthearted, rules-light game, but due to the serious tone, it just doesn't work. Things are mentioned and never followed through on. For example, say I want to go into the world of A Christmas Carol and bring Scrooge back. Now, since Dickinson wrote it more than 100 years ago, when I get there, is Scrooge going to be dead? And even if Scrooge is alive, would I be finding the grumpy Scrooge or the Scrooge after he had reformed? Now, this is easily hand-waved in a more light-hearted game, but the serious, grim tone, and especially the science fiction explanation to why everything is happening, makes these seem like legitimate questions that need to be answered. In the end, while the game certainly needs some fleshing out, it's well worth the $1 for a lot of good, high concepts that don't get the details quite right. And now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go change. It's not like reflect armor is gonna do me any good.
Then Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight and Benito Mussolini and the Blue Meanie and Cowboy Curtis and John B. the Genie, Robocop the Terminator, Captain Kirk and Darth Vader, Lopan, Superman, every single Power Ranger, Bill S. Preston and Theodore Logan, Spock the Rock, Doc Ock and Hulk Hogan.
It worked. I'm back. And I won't be reporting to you anymore, friend computer. Now, where is that miserable little... Can you believe I forgot to tell you all about the gun I got from Alpha Complex? Oh, hi, Fred. Fred? Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. My dear citizen, that is not how you hurt someone. This is how you hurt someone. Oh no, you're not escaping me! Oh. Huh. Must have misfired. Guess that's what he gets for using an antique. I'm gonna need help.